a better stance and approach towards Syria and the Middle East in general?
Well, for one, I don't think John McCain did a good job of vetting who he was supposed to be meeting with. I believe it was one of my endorsers, General Paul Valley, and I might be wrong, so don't take this to task, who told me this, but they were saying when I saw McCain meeting with those people, I could have told him he went in the wrong direction. He was talking to the wrong folks at the time when he was meeting with the terrorist groups. That's embarrassing. You don't negotiate, you don't deal with terrorists like that. Now, as far as Syria, I've got to tell you one thing that irks me a lot is when it comes to the Syrian refugees. Mm-hmm. And, you know, John McCain saying that he can vet them and Obama wanting to bring more of them in here. Listen, if you or I, if in your home state, our federal government came after you and said we're going to get you, and you know you did not have at that time the ability to fight back, would you want to go halfway across the world, or would you prefer to go maybe to the next state and regroup?
Yeah,
you want to go to the next state.
You regroup and you stand and fight.
You stand and fight, exactly. Now, we're talking about Syria. Israel's neighbor to their east, to their east is Jordan. Mm-hmm. Jordan has a small population of about 6 million people, and they're not financially well off, that country. They took approximately 1 million Syrian refugees in. Now, wouldn't it made more sense for us to maybe find a coalition of countries to give a little bit of aid to Jordan so they could better afford to help these refugees, keep them there, let them have a little bit of financial stability so they don't become so overwhelmed and weak that Islamic State terrorism, wreaks havoc in Jordan and puts, the eastern borders of Israel at greater risk. That would have made probably the most sense because let's be honest, we have the Peshmerga, the Kurds in northern part of the Middle East that are very helpful to us, but Israel by far is the most powerful nation military-wise in the Middle East. They're able to confront Islamic State jihad in the face. We need to have them strong in order to better assist us, without a doubt. John McCain has just not been helpful there. As I told you, with him, creating the idea that we can vet everybody when we absolutely cannot. Him propping up the Muslim Brotherhood, his foreign policy has been an utter failure. And as far as him being the chair of the Armed Services Committee, like I said, there you go. He defunded, Egypt with their aid there, and also what has he done for our missile defense system? What has he done for our battleships? He keeps, helping out our planes, and that's great, but he's only fulfilling one part of the promise for a United States Senator to protect the people.
Absolutely. And just to touch real quick here, you mentioned, the refugee crisis, which is absolutely crippling parts of Europe. And I have this belief that, wholeheartedly that we're going to see problems here as well. And that's shared by a lot of folks out there. What is your take on, this approach to the Syrian refugees? You mentioned, McCain saying that we can vet these people. The president, and his team they're vetting upwards of 600 people a day. So there's no way they're getting it done properly. What's the right approach to this thing?
We can't. And as I said, keep them closer to home. You can secure an area to make sure they're not in harm's way and then let them go back. There's nothing in our documentation anywhere that says that we have to take people here. From a moral standpoint, with the ability to be able to assist if people are in harm's way, is it the right thing to do? Absolutely, but it doesn't mean we have to take them in here. We don't have the capabilities to do so, to vet people properly. We don't. We absolutely don't. As I said, it's not the humane thing to turn your backs on somebody that has a genocidal, issue going on, but at the same time, Johnny, if I offer you a bowl of M&Ms and say one of them is cyanide, are you going to take an M&M if there's a bowl of 10,000? No, you just can't. And again, my responsibility, my oath that I take is that I have to defend the people here of the United States of America, that I have to protect. My number one job, the number one job of the federal government is to protect the people. A few things after that, but not much more, and I would be at a great disservice to any oath that I would take, a great disservice to the people here of the United States of America if I did not follow that to a T. Can't gamble. It's not worth the gamble. We're not supposed to gamble.
Right. Yeah, it's not worth the risk, as you say. And I really love where you're standing on so many issues, and it's a lot of large, core issues to this country. And I wonder, with the state of politics and the state of society, you really have two things. You have, this ridiculous partisan divide where the left has gone way left, the right has gone way right. There's very few people in between anymore, so they're bickering amongst themselves. And then you have an American electorate that either doesn't pay attention or simply doesn't care. How do you bring that together? How do you work in that system?
Well, I wonder if it's more that the people are just resigned to that it's going to be the way it is. But I assure you, folks, it doesn't need to be. And one of the most beautiful things about the veteran community is 13% of Americans have served in the military. You need to, as a group, go out there and get good people elected. I have not served our country, but you have so many veterans that are so able that I would love to see in service of this country again, to help take care of their brothers and sisters. But what I would say to the people also and how you communicate is, listen, I'm tempted so many times just to say so many things to people that I know are getting it completely wrong. You have to remain civil to a point, because you need to be able to not necessarily change any of your beliefs or any of your positions, but I do not need to alienate people on the same side of the party line or the other side of the party line. I want to be civil, but you need to get in there and say first, for me at least, is it constitutional? Yes, and I can move forward. Can I complete it? Would the people of Arizona want it? And then my decision is made at that point. Keep it civil.
Well, it's
educate.
It's a refreshing approach, and you just mentioned a key buzzword, and that's educate. One of the things I try to do here on this show is educate our community about all the issues going on in the world, and but the education system in this country has got some pretty major problems, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we talk about the Department of Education and Common Core and all sorts of issues. I've always believed, especially coming down to education, that it starts at the home first and it grows out from there. Without a doubt, I want the states to have more control of their funding, because I think a state knows better what they want to do or what their students need more than another state's. The federal government doesn't know Arizona inside and out like Arizona knows Arizona. And more to the fact, I would like the local communities to have even greater control. So pass it back to the states and let the states pass it back to the local communities. Because I'll tell you now, Arizona, we have completely different cultures and towns. We have inner cities. We have tribal nations. They're all so unique, diversified, and different. They need to be able to have their own voice.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I push all the time is really that states' rights. That personal accountability at the local and state level has been absolutely trampled and absolutely just destroyed. And we're just about out of time here, and there's still so many things I'd love to talk to you about. One of the other domestic issues that also ties in with with foreign policy is immigration, and we've seen in this election cycle some pretty big differing plans on illegal immigration. Where do you stand on that, and how important do you think immigration in this country is? Immigration is tied for the number one issue here in Arizona with the voters. Their number one issue is the economy tied with immigration, and it's very simple, Johnny. Enforce the rules on the books. I blame the federal government much more than I do anybody who's here illegally. If nobody's going to stop you from coming in or question why you're here or enforce the rules on the books, well, sometimes people just stop ignoring it. They have a much better life here than they would back in their own country. But listen, my ancestors came here. I love immigrants, but I just want people to do it legally. They came here. They only got one thing when they got here, and that was the protection under our flag. Only the protection. They didn't get welfare. They didn't get any other benefits. They had to be here for it was, I guess, about 5 years before they became citizens. They learned the language. They pledged to the flag. And by doing so, they helped themselves. They helped our country. They helped the future generations. I mean, I don't believe my grandparents could barely speak any English when they got here. Listen to my dad. He's, been here first generation. He's very articulate. Speaking in English. So keep your culture, but
assimilate, become American, pledge to our flag, and you help everybody out. Everybody. It grows us. It makes us stronger as a nation versus a divided nation where we have a subculture. And as far as immigration and enforcing those rules, Johnny, it's really easy. It's really easy. It's not an economical hardship for people. A lot of people say, oh, we should, round everybody up and put them on a bus. No. In conjunction with building a wall, we need to, the easiest way to do it would be to penalize businesses that are hiring people illegally. So it's no taxpayer dollar waste. It just charges the businesses that are not vetting their people correctly. Allow them a system where they can vet the people and then have them vet the people. And if they fail, then they get penalized. If they fail twice, they get penalized greater. And if they do it a third time, somebody's got to go to jail. Just enforce the rules on the books. It's better for everybody.
And again, here you go with those common sense type statements. I mean, who would think that enforcing standing regulation would actually help alleviate some of the issues, right?
You know what? I guess maybe it's all these years running a business. Stayed away from politics as much as possible. People have constantly asked me to run for office most of my adult life, and I've just said, nope, want to raise my family. Nope, want to grow my business. Well, you know what, Johnny? My business is successful. I'm blessed to be where I am. My children are almost all grown, and, I look at my grandfather, hearken back to him. The man left college, fought in World War I, quit his job, fought in World War II, stayed with the Army, was a general in Korea, then retired and worked for the VA. I don't hold too well to my family tree line if I let our country down, considering all that he sacrificed.
Absolutely. And, we're just about out of time here, so we're going to have to wrap things up. And there's so much more that I'd like to discuss with you, so absolutely we'll have to have you back on. But I have to highlight this for you. One of my listeners here made the comment that you're making them want to move to Arizona. And I got to tell you, my listeners are the most educated, most involved folks you'd ever meet from all walks of life. So obviously, you're striking a bit of a chord here. How are ways that folks can get involved and help out in the campaign if that's what they want to do?
If they want to get involved, I would love you to go visit our website, or you can go to our Facebook page. You can find it all just by going to mylastname.com, and that's MELUSKEY.com. That's MELUSKEY.com. Go there. Help support me in any way you deem possible with you. If it's social media, if it's prayers, if it's money, we can all be used. John McCain has a tremendously large war chest, but tell your friends, share with your friends in any groups that you're in. We need all the support we can get, absolutely. But I just want to thank all your listeners, all you that have served our country and taken that oath. I appreciate it very, very much. And I hope I can show that to you.
Well, I appreciate the time you gave us today. Again, I know you're really busy, and I know you've got my executive producer April out there backing you up. And I tell you, she can be an absolute slave driver, so I know she's keeping you on point. But you're welcome back anytime. I'd love to have you back on and talk some more issues, because that open debate and that discussion is how we figure out solutions to things. So thank you so much for your time, sir.
Johnny, thank you. Take care. God bless. All
right, folks, there you have it. That was a fantastic interview. Fantastic